For the Nelson Report, April 2017, video exclusive, I'm Joe Swingle, Managing Director, Cushman Wakefield, and I'm here with James Nelson, Vice Chairman, Investment Sales. James, I have a couple questions for you if you don't mind. Historically, very few people plan to make a career in commercial real estate. It's normally an evolution. How did you enter this business?
Well, Joe, thanks again for being here today and everything you've done to help support our business. I've got to say it was entirely luck to get into this business. My senior year in college, late into the spring, all of my friends already had jobs at the investment banks, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I went up to the Career Service Center, and as luck would have it, the resume deadline was that day for Massey Knakkel. I didn't know anything about real estate. I didn't have any connections, but they didn't require a cover letter, so I said, I'm here, might as well apply. And I later found out that I was only one of two candidates, and I happened to be their second choice. So the first candidate ended up taking a job with Paul Massey, and when Bob Knakkel decided that he needed an additional associate, he asked Paul, he said, well, can this guy fog a mirror? And I guess that the answer was yes, and they were willing to give me a shot, and the rest is history.
Well, I'm sure that speaks to your talents, but also Paul's and Bob's intuition as well.
Thank you.
It's proven very successful. In this business, behind every great person is a great team. Can you tell me a little bit about your team you've developed, and what do you focus on?
Sure. The team is such a huge part of being of service to our clients and to receive the best possible outcome. And starting early on, 18 years ago, bringing on associates who could help with the day-to-day and really growing it is really what's needed today to get the best possible outcome. So I have executors on the team who handle each asset class. I've got a dedicated analyst who helps underwrite the opportunities, can help with the marketing packages, and then also building out a retail leasing and a finance line, because what we're finding is, especially when investors are looking to buy mixed-use property, they need to get intel on retail rents. They need to know what type of financing they can achieve. For us to be able to deliver it on a silver platter has been very helpful to them.
I've gotten to know them as well. They are very impressive people. Cushman Wakefield, they just recognized you as the top performing and producing investment sales broker for 2016. Quite an accomplishment. Can you tell us about your journey to get to this point?
Well, I've got to say, luck certainly had a big part in it, and there's a lot of talented brokers at Cushman. And for us and for the team, it's really doing the same thing year after year. And even looking back into 2009, sometimes you can't control the market. The market dropped 90% that year. A lot of our competitors said they were taking the year off. They were traveling Europe. They were going to write a book, and we just kept at it, looking for the next opportunity. So I think it's having that focus, but really at the end of the day, figuring out how to best serve the clients. Because if you're just in this business for yourself and whatever the short-term gain is to make the highest commission you can at the moment, that's not a recipe for success. And so I think you really have to have that long-term perspective for the clients, where they know that you are a trusted advisor, you're looking out for their best interests, and sometimes it clicks. And last year we were very lucky to end up where we did.
Luck and a lot of hard work as well. You work for a powerful company. We both do, and it's a very strong global brand. Please tell us about the value that you believe Cushman Wakefield brings to your clients.
Sure. So being at Massey Knakkel for my entire career before, for 16 years, know all about working at a regional firm where back in the day we had 4 offices, 3 service lines: sales, finance, retail, leasing. To go to a firm like Cushman Wakefield, global, full service, 240 offices around the world, and having the ability to serve all of our clients' real estate needs has certainly been a game changer. And it really, I realized for most of my career, really looked at the business on a one-dimensional basis. And yes, we had the ability to maybe help out with some leasing here, some finance, but really taking a more holistic approach, helping the clients connect the dots. And it's an amazing thing when I have a friend who says, James, our business is looking to expand in Phoenix. We need office space to be able to pick up the phone and know that you're going to have a top-notch professional who can service them in that market. So I've really enjoyed getting to know the people at Cushman and working with your management team to have the best possible outcome for our clients.
Yeah, it really is special. Our reach is pretty much endless. You've closed hundreds of transactions over the years. There's got to be a few that are special. Can you tell us about a couple?
Well, each sale transaction, no two are alike, and there's plenty of stories. I mean, we could take the rest of the day talking about it. But I think the ones which are most meaningful are certainly the ones that make a major impact, whether it's on an organization or on the landscape. And two in particular that I can think about. One was our work with Village Care of New York, a not-for-profit. They had a nursing home in the West Village in this antiquated building. And their vision was to offer better care, do a lot more outpatient, and so they built a new facility and they needed to monetize their current location. And so we were able to put together a deal structure which allowed them to help monetize what they had, build the new facility, and then close and relocate after the new building was constructed. So I love getting creative, especially when it helps an organization, a not-for-profit, accomplish their needs. The other was our sale of what we called the Hudson Spire, which was a 1.2 million square foot development site on 10th Avenue and 34th Street for $238 million. I love land sales and thinking about all the different nuances and the assemblage possibilities. And, one day there's going to be a 50, 60-story tower there, and we'll be able to look at it and say that we had a small part in it.
A big part in it. You mentioned nonprofits. I know you donate a lot of time, effort, and money to some different organizations. Are there a couple you'd like to speak about?
Sure. I've been involved with the Catalog for Giving for years in a board capacity, and this funding organization supports local charities which benefit youth here in New York. And so important to give back and invest in our communities here. And so the Catalog looks for organizations which have been around for less than 10 years, have operating budgets of less than $1 million, and where we can make investments in 3-year time periods that make an exponential impact. So I've really enjoyed getting to know a lot of the organizations, and what spun out of that was what we call our Rising Realty Star initiative. It's great to give money to an organization, but I think for some of these college-age students, to introduce them to the real estate business and give them an opportunity to become self-sustaining, what we do is we find internships for them within the real estate community. So that's been a wonderful thing to be a part of. I'm also heavily involved in REBNY. I'm on the commercial board of directors there. REBNY has such an important mission advocating for our industry. And then also with my university, Colgate University, and helping them with their real estate council here in the city and connecting with alums and bringing in undergrads to the city as well. So I like to try to stay busy.
You do stay busy. You're in the office before me. I know you're in before 7 o'clock in the morning. You're here late. You donate this time to organizations. But I must say, all work and no play can make for an uninteresting person.
Yes.
And I know you to be quite interesting. What do you do for fun, James?
Well, I have a lot of fun with my wife and my 3 sons, 12, 9, and 6, and so it's busy. When you have sons at that age, and you remember those days, and I tell my team, you think it's busy here in the office, come to my house at 7 o'clock at night. It's pretty crazy.
And that's hard work.
That's hard work, right? And certainly, all the activities on the weekends right now, it's water polo, it's basketball. I had the opportunity to assistant coach my son's basketball team. I was a swimmer myself, so I don't know enough about basketball to take the lead, but I was good enough to carry the clipboard and help out with the subs in and out of the games.
You are busy. Around the clock, it sounds like. Okay, fact or fiction? Is it true you used to ride a bike from Connecticut into the office in Manhattan?
That is true. It is true. Not round trip. You'd have to start very early in the morning to come in from Greenwich and get into Midtown. It's about 40 miles. It takes about 2.5 hours. and you need to go very early so you don't get run over by a bus or traffic. But coming back, I cheated. I put the bike on the train and would get out in Rye, so I wouldn't have to bike through the Bronx in rush hour.
And I'm assuming something led you to believe that would be a good idea to ride your bike into the office?
I probably wasn't thinking too much, at 4 o'clock in the morning when I would leave. But back in the day, I was doing triathlons, and so it's a sport where you got to get in a lot of mileage. And so I thought, well, hey, I got to commute to the office anyways. Might as well get a bike ride in. So can't say I do that much more today, although I'll do a couple races here and there. But right now, it's spending time with the family on the weekends and playing a little water polo myself.
I suspect your wife would have something to say if you
Yes.
tried to do that today. Okay, so I know you must be asked this question probably several times a day. What type of market are we in? What does the market look like going forward?
Sure. So we are, I think the term we use is cautiously optimistic.
Okay.
So, at the end of last year, leading up to the election, our investors said, look, we're on the sidelines to see where this all goes. Now, in the new year, investors are off the sidelines. We're getting great activity on the listings that we have out in the marketplace. A lot of packages being requested, a lot of tours. Unfortunately, not a lot of contract signings yet.
Yeah.
There's still some hesitation in the market. You hear a lot about the bid-ask spread, but we see that closing very quickly. There's a lot of dry powder on the sidelines. At the end of the day, it's New York City. Job growth numbers here are still fantastic. People want to live, work, be here in the city. And so I think it's just kind of a moment of time where investors get that confidence again to kind of step up. I think sellers have certainly recognized the conditions of the market. It's a little more expensive to borrow money today, but long term, New York is where the opportunity is.
Couldn't agree more, and I also agree that that's the tone and the message, cautiously optimistic. James, thank you very much for taking this time. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You bet.